I welcome all the present teachers and the future teachers in this workshop. And I just want to discuss few things before we start talking about the interview session and before we start talking about how to create the video resume. The first thing which I wanted to tell all of you is teaching is a very, very good profession and it's a very noble profession. And a lot has been changed in last 15 years in the teaching profession, which I'll definitely discuss with all of you. The first thing I want to congratulate all of you that you have decided to become a teacher in your life. And I think it's not only that you are going to make a career out of it, but at the same time, a lot of satisfaction also when your students are going to make their career with your guidance and with your teaching. So I think it's the one of the very unique professions in the world where the
So you've got muted, Nikhil sir.
I'm so sorry. I think there was some. So I hope. Let me again start with that. So I think I congratulate all of you, those who have decided to become teacher in their life. Why I'm saying this because teaching is a very noble profession, and you all know one thing very clearly nowadays. It's not only the job satisfaction which has become very very important apart from the salary. I think there was a time when salary was more important, but now it's a balance of job satisfaction as well as salaries. I've seen a lot of people, those who are so stressed in the corporate world, that few of them they commit suicides and few of them they leave the profession and join teaching. So I think what I'm trying to say is it is one of the very very noble profession, and the most important thing about teaching is you are not building your own career, but at the same time, you are shaping the careers of lots of individuals. Those are going to be the future of the country. So, job satisfaction is something which is enormous in this particular field. And I will just compare this teaching field with one of the fields which actually, started growing up in the country almost, I would say, let's say 25 years back. That was the IT profession, information technology profession. A lot of people that point of time, those who did their normal BSc, BCom, they went to NIITs and aptex and other places 25 years back I'm talking about, and did a lot of courses in information technology. Because if you remember one thing, there was a Y2K bug 2000. I think you must be aware, or you must be in your early age that time, when there was a Y2K problem, which was a year 2000 problem that came across the globe in the software industry, and a lot of Indian software guys, those who have been trained by the local institutes, went across the globe to solve that problem. And from there only, I think a lot has been changed in the middle class system of the country, because average people, those who become the software engineers in 10 years, they became wealthy, and the plus point is their standard of living, their societal status, everything improved. And last 10 years, because I'm traveling not only in the African part or the Gulf part, I'm traveling across the world. And what I've observed is a lot of demand for Indian teachers nowadays in Africa, as well as in Gulf, and as well as in the European countries. Like you talk about Poland, you talk about Greece, you talk about a lot of other countries out there, Cyprus. A lot of Indian teachers are in demand out there. And same time, even in Gulf, Middle East, the entire Middle East, I'm talking about, a lot of demand for Indian teachers, and gradually it is increasing even in the African countries also. And they are offering really, really good salaries to the candidates. So the advantage which is going to be there and which I see in the future is also another 10 years, you'll find Indian teachers are going to shape the careers of not only Indians in India, but they are going to shape the careers of Americans, Britishers, Australians, Canadians, and a lot of other people from the other countries. And that's what the power when you talk about the teaching now is having. That is one thing. Second thing, which is very important, is uh, since it's a digital era, so a lot has been changed in terms of the teaching skills, the way you have to communicate with your students, because we are in that age where everything is digital, and I think it's going digitized very fast also. I think even CBSE is planning a lot of things in that direction. and even the other boards are planning in that direction. So this is a digital era, and you need to equip yourself with a digital system also, because that is something which is going to be the future. Online schools are going to come very fast. Trust me, there are lots of online schools which are going to come in future. I think I was talking to one, Mr. Arvind from Delhi. They recently started an online school in Delhi, a new startup. So I think the world is going to be very different in 10 years, especially for the teachers and the teaching fraternity. So you all have to equip yourself with the certain skills so that you can really do wonders out there. And the second thing is, apart from your regular teaching in schools, let's say wherever you are going to teach, apart from that, there are lots of other opportunities coming because of the change in the dynamics of the markets. Because you all know, edtech industry is growing at leaps, and it's growing at a very fast pace. You cannot imagine it also, as compared to fintech, as compared to the other technology areas, the e-commerce and fintech. I think edtech is growing faster than these other fields also. And because of that, they also require a lot of teachers. So it's not only restricting yourself to the schools only. I think the Whitehead Junior, you talk about Byju's, you talk about An Academy, they all need teachers. And the good part is, wherever you are sitting, if you are there in a small village out there near Nasik, or if you are there in a city like Akola, or if you are there in a city like Aurangabad, or city like Ujjain, or city like, let's talk about a small city, Kota, you have got an opportunity. You don't have to move from your place. From there only you can teach the students, because the technology is actually making it possible for everybody in the world. So that's the reason I really want to congratulate all of you that you have decided to become a teacher. I'll give you one of the examples out here. One of the schools in Hyderabad, their administrative head is a known fellow to me. And I think last year he asked me, Nitin, you go to so many places, and we really need, especially from the B towns, because there are lots of good teachers out there. If you can give me 1 or 2 teachers for the commerce, for the 11th and 12th standard. I said, what's going to be the salary and what you're expecting? They said, we are expecting that 2 to 3 years of experience, and the salary will be somewhere between 12 lakhs to 18 lakhs. That means 1 lakh to 1.5 lakh rupees a month. I said, you won't find a good teacher from the cities you're mentioning me. I don't want to name those cities. City like Indore, city like Jaipur. I said, you won't find the very good teachers from there. Why? Am I need to increase the salary or what? When our salary is not an issue, what salary you're providing, the kind of knowledge that the teacher should have, I doubt on that part, because most of the people take commerce very lightly, and the students, those who are very sharp in commerce, they move to the other profession like CS, and other things. That's the reason I wanted to tell you, 10-15 years back, the conditions were different in the country, because teachers were not well paid, and there were lots of other issues out there. And because of that, we all know one norm which was there 20-25 years back, and even 15 years back, कि तेरे को कहीं
Okay, guys, there has been some technical issue. I will just try to connect with Mr. Nitil Gupta again. Kindly be on the line, and we'll get back to you.
Hello, Anuj.
Hello. Can anybody help me out, like where we actually disconnected? Because I think we lost connectivity in between. So I just wanted to know where exactly I need to continue with.
Sir, you were discussing about the commerce teacher.
Yeah. So I was discussing about that. So actually, 15-20 years back, what exactly was there? Most of the people, what they used to do was they used to take humanities or sciences, basic sciences, or let's talk about commerce. They do MCom, MSc, MA, and after that they try for the government exams, maybe the banking exams, maybe some PCS or some administrative services. And if they don't qualify them, then they try to do B.Ed and become a teacher, because that time people used to say that if you're not getting any other opportunity, become a teacher. But now the conditions have changed in the world. I think teaching is something where you have got a balance of job satisfaction as well as the salaries and good structured salaries in good schools. The only thing is you need to upgrade yourself continuously and add value to your system and life, so that you can reach to those schools and get those better perks and better opportunities and better facilities. I think I visited a lot of boarding schools, especially in Himachal Pradesh, especially in Uttarakhand. I think I went to even Nokuchia Tal and Bhimtal, Nainital, and so many places where the boarding schools were there. And I think I found one thing very clear out there. The teachers were so happy out there, the kind of environment they are into, the pollution-free environment, and they are living in the campus itself. The kids are studying in the same boarding schools. I think what else somebody wants in his life? I think, imagine, I think you just have to focus on your work. I'll definitely guide you what you need to do to develop yourself and what exactly you need to do, when exactly you need to switch your career, and all those things I'm going to discuss with you. So I think what I'm trying to tell here, and the entire concept which I want to convey to all of you is, teaching is one of the professions where salary plus job satisfaction, it's a balance. Otherwise, in corporate world, the balance is not there. People are getting salaries, but they are not happy with their job and the kind of stress they are handling. You cannot imagine the kind of stress they are handling, because I do a lot of corporate trainings also, and I've found that they're so stressful, and the timings, if you see the timing of the schools and timing of the teaching institutions, I think you seriously are benefiting by a lot of good practices out there in that area. I understand due to pandemic, I think schools, I think I know I'm in touch with a lot of principals and a lot of teachers. They are not happy because school management is at so many places giving less salary or no salary or limited salary. I understand, but this is going to get over very soon. And at the same time, teachers have got a lot of other opportunities nowadays. It's not only restricting them to the brick and mortar institutions only. Now, if you have got the knowledge, there are platforms available where they really need good teachers, and hiring good teachers. The only thing is you need to upgrade yourself, continuously upgrade. It's kind of a value at every day. When you sleep at the in the night, you need to think about what value I have added today in my life. Am I seriously interested in adding value, or had I added some value today? So that is something very, very important. Now, when you talk about the changes, as I told you, that because of digitization and because of other things, what changes have taken place is, at one point of time, we were not aware of most of the teachers. If you see that they get teaching jobs in nearby areas only, wherever they are getting jobs in the nearby areas. But now that's not a case, because a lot of opportunities now. A student sitting in Hyderabad knows that there is an opportunity in Shimla, and he can apply easily out there in a good boarding school. Or there is a student from let's talk about Haldwani. He knows that there is a very good opportunity in Bombay, and he can apply for that opportunity, and he can even go for the interview from the same place. So that's where the change is. You don't have to travel to that place to give the interview. So I think a lot has been changed in last couple of years, and it's going to continuously going to get changed in the future also. And I think teachers need to be
I think again the session from Mr. Nitil Gupta has got hanged. But if you all have any doubts or any queries, you can just note them down, and we can have like a quick Q&A session after whatever.
Actually, the B and
I will just call him up.
Now, I'll just come down to the interview process as I discussed with you people. There are few things which you need to take into account when you are preparing yourself for the interviews. One is, as I've told, that video resume, that is going to be the norm of the world now. I think most of the schools or most of the education institutions seriously wants to see the communication skills of the candidates, seriously wants to see the teaching style, the teaching methodology, and all those things. And I think the video resume is the best way to convey that thing beforehand. If you have got a very good video resume, I think EduVacancy is the very unique platform in the country offering a video resume to the education fraternity, so that you can create and upload your video resume. You can sit in front of the laptop, discuss about yourself, your teaching methodology, what you have adopted, your examples from your past experiences in different schools, how you actually helped your students, what kind of unique experiences you have developed in those schools. So I think these are the things which you need to really talk about. You talk about IIM Ahmedabad in India, you talk about ISB Hyderabad, you talk about top management schools. They actually give you the set of essays, and on the basis of that, they give you the admission. They evaluate those essays and they give you the admission. So what are there in those essays? For example, they say, discuss an ethical dilemma you ever faced in your life. So what you did and how you came out of that ethical dilemma. So I think there are so many small things which you can add in your video resume. There was an instance that happened in school and how I rescued everybody from it and what exactly I've done. Some unique experiences of yours that should be added to your video resume. Your teaching methodology, how you have developed it, what kind of evaluation process you do for your students, how it is different from the normal evaluation process. Because at times you have to abide by the rules of the different boards like CBSE, ICSE and other boards. But at the same time, individually, you can have a unique methodology in your classes to evaluate your students apart from the regular exams. So that also can be added to your video resume. So video resume can seriously make a big difference in a profile of a candidate. And I think I strongly recommend people to go and upload your video resume on the EduVacancy platform. And I know that EduVacancy team, I'm continuously in touch with them. And they're so helpful. Even if you upload a wrong video, they will immediately use their technology backend system to delete and ask you to again upload your better resume. So I think you have got that kind of facility also. It's not a one-time affair. If you somehow unable to upload it properly, you can always delete it and do it again. Or else you can, first, create a video resume on your laptop, see and listen it very carefully and see that all the points what you really want to cover in your video resume, you have covered, and then you can always upload it. That's one thing. Now when you talk about interview process, when you talk about interviews at different places, and even you have to give a demo class also out there, what all things you need to seriously take into account? The first thing I always say is the verbal communication and non-verbal communication. Any interview, anywhere you are going in the world, verbal and non-verbal communication, both are important. And to be very precise and honest with you, if you ask me the percentage of weightage of verbal and non-verbal communication, I would say non-verbal communication nowadays is carrying more weightage than the verbal communication. What you're talking about is very important, but your facial expression, your body language, everything should actually talk about you as a person and as a good teacher out there. So I think that matters a lot. So it's not only the verbal communication, because most of the time what we do is we focus on verbal communication part only. We go to the coaching classes, we learn English, we learn the communication skills, the speaking skills, and a lot of other things we learn. But at the same time, we forget that there is going to be one more thing, which is non-verbal communication. I think we all even watch, most of us watch cricket also, the matches out there. And what we see that at times, if somebody from India is hitting a six, then the kind of expression you see on the bowler's face, and if the bowler is going to beat the batsman, the kind of expression it is there on his face. And next ball, if he's going to hit it six, the kind of expression that is there on his face, nobody is going to, no, they are not telling anything. They are not communicating, but everything has been communicated through their expression, the body language. So I think that is something which most of the employers nowadays give a lot of value to your body language and facial expression. So always keep in mind the non-verbal communication is also very important. And I'll come down to that also, how you can develop non-verbal communication, because verbal communication everybody knows. And it's very simple also. You know, even a lot of singers you have seen in the country, in the world, I think they must have taught how to sing, you know, they must have taught the sur and tal of that, but nobody has taught them what kind of body language you need to do. But at the time when some ghazal gayak is there, his hands, you see that the way his hands move, the way his body moves when they are talking, when they are singing something which is very, very, you know, emotional. So I think these all things, there are no institutions to teach you the body language and expression. I think that is something which is going to come over a period of time when you're continuously engaging yourself and uploading your video resume, let's say uploading or practicing the video resume also so many times. So I think these are the facilities which are available nowadays, which were not there in past. So verbal and non-verbal communication, very important. And there are a few more things which you need to take into account for the interview process. And there are 3 C's, which I say, the communication C's, which are very, very important. The first is build content. You need to know your subject. Very, very important part. Subject knowledge is must. You need to understand which particular classes you are going to teach and which classes you are meant for, because everybody knows that if somebody is a nursery teacher, somebody is a primary teacher, or a secondary teacher, senior secondary teacher, they know their subject strength, they know their values, which area they are into. So what they need to do is, you need to seriously work on your subject content. That is very, very important. Subject means the subject that you are going to teach. If it is a pre-primary or a primary section, I think the subject is very simple, but same time you have to understand how you can develop the curiosity in your kids. Because I've divided the school education into 3 parts. Nursery to 5th should be curiosity driven education. More you develop curiosity in the kids, better they are going to perform in their life. So teachers need to really work on that. Students should ask every day, how madam this has happened, how sir this has happened, why this is happening, why this is not happening. So I think when they are going to be curious to know about things, I think your teaching style is perfect. Trust me on that part. So curiosity driven education for the pre-primary and primary teachers. Then 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, these are the primitive years of any student's life, and you have to work hard to develop their fundamentals. If you are a social science teacher, if you are a science teacher, I understand you are going to teach social science, but at the same time you have to give them the basic nuances of English also, because most of the time they are unable to understand and interpret because of their language problem. So you have to work hard with them on that part also. When you're a science teacher, you have to work out how they can develop their analytical skills. Mathematics teachers, you have to coordinate with the mathematics teachers and see how the kids can develop their analytical skills and logical skills, because they are very important for them to develop their science concepts. And if they are in the higher classes, I've developed a concept called vision development. How many teachers in 9 to 12 talk about the different careers also along with teaching them, so that where they can use these fundamentals out there? I think most of the teachers don't use those things out there, which are very, very important. If I'm going to teach them commerce and business studies, for example, in a commerce class, if I'm going to teach them business studies, the most important thing is, am I bringing relevant case studies from the market? How many of you are talking about the startups? How many of you know that how the start, what kind of private equity investment is coming, and how these investments are changing the shape of the corporate world? And what exactly is the concept of startup? How many of you are seriously discussing the definition of a startup, the definition of investments and private equities and what exactly they do, the definition of valuation, how the valuations are taking place? Because you're teaching business studies, if you're not going to tell them not be connected with it, which Tata's, Birlas and other top ones used to take almost 50 to 100 years. I think these guys are building those companies in 5 to 6 years. And even without taking the private equities also, Zerodha is an example out here. They build a unicorn, and then you have to tell them the definition of what unicorn is all about when you're teaching them business studies. So what I'm talking about is, If you're teaching them science, you need to talk about like how the Tesla and how the companies are changing the concepts and what exactly are the changes happening out there in the science and the research of the science out there in the market. So these are very, very important apart from teaching them the regular classes. So build content. I think even for the interview process also that helps. So build your content. Second is clarity of thought. You have to structure your entire answers and everything, and it should be very clear. The employer should not feel that there is some confusion. And I think seriously, he or she is not very clear with his thought or her thoughts. I'll give an example. I think I was a panelist in so many schools. I don't want to name them, but the top schools for the interview process. What I saw there was economic teacher coming to for the interview, and if you're going to ask her or him, can you tell us more about yesterday's economic times? What was the news? What exactly was there? Trust me, 70% of them don't know even the color of the newspaper, forget about reading it and understanding it. I think so we need to build content and clarity of thought, very, very important. And after these two things, if are going to be there in shape, the last thing, which the last C, because I say 3 C's are very important. The last C, which is going to be confidence, will automatically come. So build content, build clarity of thought. The confidence is definitely going to come after that. So you don't have to worry about that part. That is there. Then next thing, which is very important, is you need to understand what kind of interview process it is. And what all you need to do for that. So for example, in interview, there are 4 or 5 factors.
Again, sir, lost their connection.
Yeah. Huh? Hello, sir.
Yes, let me just get in touch with him again. Just hang on. I hope you all are enjoying the session and you all are understanding.
The important part is you need to.
So the session is really, really interesting. Would we be getting a recording of the session, considering there are a lot of network lags happening on both ends?
Yeah, we can send you a PowerPoint, which will have all the head points and everything that he said. So
okay,
you can
that will be.
Yeah, that will be useful as well.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
I'll just get in touch with Mr. Nitil Gupta once more, and we'll continue this ahead.
Sir, your mic is mute.
Yeah.
No, I think I'm saying there were some technical, I don't know what exactly was there. So I'm so sorry on that. So I think now let's come back to the point. So when you're talking about, the interview process, there are so many things, so which subject you are teaching. So what are your strengths and other things? So know yourself, that is very important. Second is build your knowledge, your academics. You have to work very hard to build your basics of academics. So that is something, key to a success, to become a successful teacher. Third, that is research the position you seek, whichever position you are going for. Like for example, you're going to a school for senior secondary classes. You need to know more about the demography of that particular area, because you know that the kind of crowd which is going to come to the school, that all is going to be impacted by the society out there and the demography out there. How is going to be the students out there, what is going to be their psychology, their mentality, because most of the places that's very, very important. The second thing which is very important is whether it's a CBSE board or ICSE board or which kind of school it is, or IB board, you need to know more about those boards also. What is the objective behind that board? What is the policy out there in that board? Because these are things, if indirectly you are going to communicate in your interview to the employer, he will be really impressed with your knowledge. And I think that is something very, very important. I know, I'll give an example. When I was there in the recruitment process of one of the top schools, I don't want to name that school, but it's one of the top schools in the country, a well-known school. So they invited me for some interview process. And that time, there was a concept in CBSE, which was launched by CBSE, but because of schools and teachers' pressure, they withdrew it. A concept called PSA, I think 7-8 years back or 9 years back, I'm talking about problem-solving aptitude or problem-solving assessment. There was some concept called PSA in CBSE. They introduced it for 9th and 10th standard. And they withdrew it because there was a lot of pressure from the schools. We are unable to complete the regular syllabus, how we can help the students with PSA. And trust me, PSA was a very right thing developed by the government and brought by the CBSE to the schools, because you know that most of the competitive exams, whether you talk about Indian exams or the outside the India exams, they are based on the aptitude only. So if you talk about you want to become an IAS officer, you have to go through CSAT. You want to become a bank manager, you have to go through a bank IBPS exam or a SBI exam, or any other aptitude exam. If you want to go to America for your undergraduate or the higher studies, you have to undergo SAT and GRE, again aptitude based exams. You want to become a lawyer in India, you have to write CLAT. You want to become manager from IIMs, you need to write CAT or IPMAT or whatever the entrance exams they have got, but all based on aptitude. So I think they introduced a very clear concept called PSA, but the problem was the school teachers, principals, they all never imbibed it the way that has been brought to the system. So the most important thing is you need to really research the position you seek, and especially the board you are going to give interview for. That is very, very important. And the next thing which is going to be there and which matters a lot is you have to create a positive impression on the minds of the people. You have to be very, very honest out there. If you don't know something, tell them, I don't know this. There is no harm telling somebody that I don't know the subject and I'll definitely work on it. Because you also know that nobody is going to expect that if you are taking social science from 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 4 classes, then you should know every chapter, every concept by heart. Nobody is expecting that. Your teaching methodology, the way you're going to teach, the way you're going to develop your content for teaching, that matters a lot, because that's not a competitive exam that you have to analyze and you have to, do all the learning and go and, explain it. No, nobody expects that from that. कि नहीं 6 से लेकर 10 तक का एक टॉपिक आना चाहिए, एक सब्जेक्ट का एक कॉन्सेप्ट आना चाहिए, एक डेफिनेशन आना चाहिए. Nobody is expecting in the interview session for a teacher. But your teaching methodology, the way you're going to teach every chapter, how you're going to bring it to the students, what all value add you're going to do with that chapter out there, these are things that they really want to learn, they want to expect from you, and these are the things which you need to tell them out there. And if they give you an option to demonstrate something, then at least half a chapter or a small portion of that chapter you have to demonstrate in the same methodology that you have developed and you have adopted for your teaching. So that is very, very important. And you have to be very honest in front of the employer. So if he or she is asking you something, you have to be straight on that part and be honest with that. That is expected from a teacher when they are going for the interview process. Then the next thing is you need to understand what kind of interview it is. If it is a one-on-one interview, then your way of expressing yourself is going to be different. If it is a group interview, there are 4 or 5 people sitting in front of you, and it's a group interview, then you need to know the eye contact, your facial expression, everything should be reflected to everybody out there if there are 4 or 5 people sitting in the group, because group interviews also happens at times. Then the next thing which is going to be there is, if it is going to be, example is telephonic interview, then you have to be prepared for that kind of thing also. Or if it is going to be a video interview or an online interview. For example, I'm delivering a talk out here, and trust me, I have got 2 or 3 Wi-Fis out here at this moment, because if something goes wrong, immediately I need to switch to the other Wi-Fi, because there was some problem which is happening for the last 2 days in my area, and I was very clear about it. This is a problem which is happening here. So I kept 2 or 3 Wi-Fis ready out here. The only thing is the switching time is something which I'm taking right now, because I understand that if one is not going to work, the second thing is going to work out there. So these are the small things when you're going for your video interview. So either it's a one-on-one interview face-to-face, it is a group interview face-to-face, if it is a telephonic interview or a one-on-one interview or a group interview on online platform. You have to understand which particular way they are asking, and then you have to prepare yourself accordingly.
Sir?
So, yeah.
So what about the walk-in interview? What do they ask in walk-in interview?
You know, the walk-in interviews, I think it's like more or less the walk-in interview is also the same. It's not like that. The only thing is they have not gone through your resume or your profile beforehand. That's the only difference in walk-in interview. Because the moment you go there, you have to put your resume out there. So what they expect is whatever is written in the resume, you have to explain it in a very, very proper way out there in a walk-in interview. Because how it is different from the normal interviews is very simple. They don't have your prior knowledge about you as a candidate. They don't have your profile. They have not screened your profile. So whatever they're going to do, they are going to do there itself when you are there for a walk-in interview kind of thing. And second thing which is very important is in walk-in interview, nothing is pre-scheduled or pre-planned. So you have to wait even in the guest room or wherever the waiting room is there. Now, for waiting room also, there are a few things which are very, very important that you have to take into account. I think I've taught a lot of corporate people also the basic norms of the waiting room. There are fundamental norms out there which you need to follow when you're in a waiting room. Don't ask the other fellows, oh, what is happening inside? What they have asked? And the moment what most of the people do, even when in the school vivas we do that thing, the moment somebody comes out from the interview room and we are in the waiting room, we all try to jump on him. Oh, what happened? Kya pucha andar? Kya hua tha andar? These and those things. And then if suppose that fellow was unable to answer 2 or 3 questions out there, then those 2-3 questions will be there in your mind. Oh, I also don't know. I know only one out of them. Then the next fellow is going to come out. Then he is going to answer. Oh, these were the questions I was unable to answer. Out of those 4 or 5, even if you don't know 2 of them, then you are tense. And I think by the time that your turn is going to come, oh, by God, my God, I don't know these many questions answer. Your confidence will go down. It's a very psychological treatment. So when you are in a waiting room, the basic norm is sit silently. Don't talk to your fellows or to your next sitting fellow. Mentally prepare yourself. Mentally develop your confidence in your own concepts. Try to revise your concepts. Try to understand your teaching methodology. Revise your teaching methodology. Revise the instances that happened in last school or the last organization. How you handle the tough situation or something out there. Those are the things which you need to think about there rather than discussing with the fellow sitting next to you, or rather than jumping on the fellow who is going to come out of the interview room. And this is what most of the people do. So I think these are the things which you need to really take into account. So I guess that is all from my side. If you have got certain questions, you can ask me. I'm there to help you out. And I just wanted to know one thing from you, if you can raise the hand. I hope everybody has understood the basic concepts and the nuances of the interview process in the schools. Just raise your hands. I think I would be very happy if you can raise your hands or something. I think I would be very happy to know that how many of you have understood those things. I guess so many of you are saying that. So I think I'm happy that way. So that people are saying that they were interested and they were happy. They were really.
So I have a question.
Yeah. I know your name.
Priyanka.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit of your background?
Yeah, that's what. So I have done my MBA in human resource way back in 2008. And after that, I started working with different corporates. So I have worked with TCS, Accenture, and last I was working with a proprietary trading firm, which is, and that was till December 2019. But parallelly, since 2015, I had been teaching English grammar to students from grade 1 to grade 7 at home. So, and I did my B.Ed as well. I did my MCOM as well, like along with my job. Now, in December 2019, because of this Corona thing, I had to leave and, I had to come out of the corporate job. Now, and since then, I have been into online teaching. So whatever students I had, they came on the online platform. Plus, I got more students. So now, at this point of time, I would say that I'm catering to students across geography. So not just India, but I have kids from Australia, Sweden, Dubai, and Singapore as well. Now, great. I want to see that if I want to approach a school, getting into a formal teaching environment, do you think, would you suggest me to go on that platform? Or do you think that the way I have come up, moving from corporate to here, and not just English grammar, I think I have done a lot more for kids. So I'm also into communication building, personality development, social etiquettes, dining etiquettes. I do take science workshops. I do take GK workshops. Because I think I truly believe that kids have a lot of potential. And it's on a teacher how you give them air under their wings and help them fly high. So I truly believe that. So I want to know that should I actually leave all this, because there's a lot of creativity involved into what I'm doing right now. But I also feel that I want to try getting into a formal education school and, work under a system. So what would be your suggestion? Should I continue with something that I'm doing right now? Yeah,
Priyanka, I think there is one thing, because since you have experienced the corporate world and whatever I've discussed on the corporate world, you also understand those things. So I think the plus point is, you have developed your own methodology to teach the students, and not only the Indian, because I already, I think, mentioned that thing, the boundaries are not important nowadays. I think the teachers are heavily in demand, the Indian teachers. So I think you are endorsing my say out here. Now, there are few things which are very important, Priyanka. When you are approaching the students and getting them for the home tuitions or online tuitions, the only challenge is you have to do a lot of marketing activities also, and you have to create a word of mouth also. At the same time, somewhere on the back of your mind, you have to continuously think about the marketing activities. But if you join a formal education, at least one thing is very clear: 6 to 7 hours you are there to seriously explore your creativity and give it to a, I know that particular thing you're going to give to a limited students in one school, but I think I would suggest you do both the things if you can manage. At least go and join a formal education system, because that way your entire creativity will come out, because there you don't have a tension to kal bacha kahan se lana hai, how I'm going to get new students, and those things are not going to be there. So that is something where your creativity will come to the forefront, and the students will definitely get benefit out of it. And in that also you can scale up. Next time you can move to the better school, then better school, then better school. So I think
but
that is also there.
The schools will consider me as a suitable candidate, considering that I don't have a formal teaching?
To be very honest with you, Priyanka, that's what I wanted to say. Now, principal, because I do a lot of workshops for the principals, I think, because I know Akash didn't mention that thing. I have done workshops from Chennai to Guwahati for the school principals. And I think my topic, I think 2019, I did a lot of physical workshops before pandemic. And the topic was education leadership in digital era. So the education leaders also need to change themselves in the digital era, and they need to understand what are the changes which are there. And there is a paradigm shift, and they have to accept it. So now the schools are very open for the people, those who come from the industry, and even the management colleges are open for them. So I think you have to decide which area you want to go, because since you have done your B.Ed, you are always open for the school. So I think I would suggest you go and talk to the good school. They will really understand and appreciate your knowledge, and they would seriously give weightage to your creativity. So I think
honestly, I also, like, in between this whole phase, I also gave some sessions on how to prepare for a GD or an interview for management students, like those who are passing out. So I did take few sessions for them in terms, like you mentioned about non-verbal communication. So I had taken some sessions on them as to how to approach to your interview, and what is something that the interviewer sees apart from your resume. So I have taken sessions on that as well for the college pass outs, the fresh graduate.
Great. So I think Priyanka, you know what I'm trying to say. That is, join one formal education along with this. That is one ways. And second way which can be there is, if you really want to go the other way around, is the other option which I can say is you can go. Which city you are from, Priyanka?
I'm from Delhi.
Delhi. So if you don't want to go to the schools, then you have got one more option. You can go to the B schools and Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday. And I think you can always deliver your talks out there. I think I'm happy that Edu Vacancy is creating an area called freelancers, where the top B schools or the top engineering schools can connect to the people, those who are ready to give them services on Saturday, Sundays, especially the B schools. So Priyanka, that is also one of the ways you can think about it. So if you really want to go that way also, there are lots of management colleges those who are inviting you those who can invite you as a visiting faculty for one of the subjects in the field, because I think I know at times even management colleges invite me also. NMIM has invited this year for one particular subject, and they said that if you can give us 14 hours lecture, I delivered it in NMIMS 14 hours. So I think because that was innovation and entrepreneurship. So innovation entrepreneurship is something they really want somebody who can talk about the market rather than talking about the bookish knowledge.
Yeah, true. The practical.
These are also So these are also the opportunities for you. So I think what I would suggest you is join one formal education if you can join fully for full time, and rest of the time you can do all these activities also.
Yeah. Okay. Sure, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Hello, sir. So I think everybody, I think I still find few hands only. So others, are they really enjoying, or they have got certain questions they can ask me?
Yeah, sir. I ask a question. Hello.
Yes. Sir. Can you introduce yourself? So I think that will be better for us, sir.
I am Rajesh Ampurve from Kolkata.
Okay. And you're teaching somewhere. You're teaching somewhere, sir. Which subject?
Mathematics.
Okay. And in a school or college, sir?
In a higher school.
Oh, great. Yeah. Tell me, sir.
Do you describe CAS? CAS, CAS. I apply it. CAS, CAS.
CAS.
Yeah.
What exactly can you elaborate so that I'll understand which CAS you're talking about?
CAS means short form, knowledge, attitude, and skill. We applied in teaching method.
Knowledge, aptitude, and skill. Sorry, I heard CAS for the, there is an application form system in UK, because they have like the US has got a common application and US has got a CAS. So I heard that CAS. I'm so sorry.
I also apply problem solving method.
That is very important, sir. That is very important, sir. Problem solving is very important. I think I always, request teachers, those who are from social science and sciences, to develop the creative thinking in their kids, and the teachers who are from the mathematics side to develop the problem solving skills and especially the logical skills. So I think I'm happy that what you're doing is need of the day.
Yeah. But
you can always give them problem solving skills from a lot of books, like there is one book called Mind Bafflers from George Summers. There is a book called Brain from George Summers. So these are the very good books on the Steve Waddell's, again, the problem solving skills. I think a lot of kids love those practice problems out there.
I think first we describe it. I think first understanding of the problem. Second point, thinking of the plan. Third point, carrying out the problem. Fourth point, looking back. Means, what is the means of the looking back? A tiger running, just turn it. So we said our pupils to find out another method, not answer sheet.
Yes.
Yeah. It is a good idea. Problem solving method is the best method of the mathematics.
Yeah, very true. I think I when I do teachers training also, what I say is the other way around to approach a problem is like a Sanskrit concept of Sandhi Vichhed. Sanskrit, if there is a long word, then you divide it into small parts. The same way, if there is a problem out there, arithmetic problem or some problem out there, you divide it into parts. Whatever every line is saying, just jot down on the side. Automatically, you'll come to know what you need to achieve out of it. So I think same concept you are applying in a different way.
Yeah.
Great, sir.
I am 36-year experience in mathematics field.
Sir, we would like to take your knowledge, experience, and I think I would request EduVacancy team to take some educational bites on the mathematics teaching from you, sir, so that they can put it on their education TV that they are creating for the teachers to develop their skill set out there. So I think that is something very good. And I think if Nikita or Akash, whoever is there, please be in touch with the sir so that sir can give some very good bites on mathematical teaching and the enhancement of mathematics for the schools.
Yes, definitely, sir.
Yeah, so please be in touch with sir. I think I'm really appreciate. I think any other teacher who really wants to give his knowledge to the others, wants to share that, and EduVacancy is going to be a platform which can actually help them in sharing their knowledge to the other people in the country, so that others will also get advantage out of their knowledge and skills.
I try to use it for the coming generation.
That's very important, sir. I think so nice of you. That's very, very important.
Yeah.
And I think one more thing, if there are English teachers available out here, I would request them develop some storytelling activities in your storytelling concepts in your kids. That is very, very important, because nowadays the kids are so they don't know how to develop a thought process also. So storytelling is a unique way to develop that thought process. And I recommend, I strongly request English teachers to do that thing in their classes.
But I am a mathematics teacher, so I cannot tell a story or the.
No. I'm not talking about you, sir. I'm requesting to the English teachers or the social science teachers available in the group, sir.
But a mathematician cannot.
I know. No, I think mathematician can develop a story on the lines of, because I think I did an experiment with the mathematics 7-8 years back. What I did was, we developed a story concept and build around. For example, if we want to teach the percentage and profit and loss and all the concepts clubbed together in one particular problem, what we did was we created a small case out there, case study kind of concept out of mathematics, and gave it to the students to solve it and to understand the nuances of the profit and loss and nuances of the percentage. Because the percentage change concept, if you see the percentage change concept, the final value minus initial upon initial into 100, the same concept somehow is an application out there in profit percent and loss percent calculation.
So I think mathematics is the not a hobby or the fighter. We are easy to play. How to do math, how to play math, how to sing math, how to dance math. Okay?
Yeah. And I think I just want to answer, sir, one more question. Mrs. Kaur asked me, I am pursuing my MCOM and I have interest in teaching, but I didn't do B.Ed. So please tell me whether I should go for a school teaching or a college teaching. I tell you, madam, the college teaching is something where you will be accepted directly, but in a school teaching, you need to have a B.Ed to get into a good school, because that is something which the government has made mandatory. So what I would suggest you is a college teaching, but along with that, do your B.Ed so that you can, if you want to switch to the schools, you can really switch to the schools and good schools out there. And school education, I really appreciate more, not because that the college education is bad or good. The reason is that is a time when the students are there in the initial stage of their growth, and if you can guide them properly, you are seriously creating and building the future of the country in that fashion.
But I will try. It is not sure, but I will try.
Yeah. So I think if any other question from anybody else, they can ask me. And I think we are going to...
Any suggestion for geography teaching?
Yes, madam. Geography teaching, there are lots of good suggestions from my side. And you know that the career-wise also... Vinita ji, can you please tell me more about where exactly you're teaching? And
Sir, at present, I am in Delhi, but previously I was working in a residential school.
Oh, where exactly that residential school was? Which area?
It was in Dehradun.
Oh, I've been to so many schools out there in Dehradun. I delivered a lot of talks in Scholars Home, that is at Rajpur Road, and other schools also out there. So I delivered a lot of talks. They invited me for some career session in the teachers program out there. Mrs.
So 3-4 years back, I left the Dehradun, but nowadays
I think Mrs. Khanna was there that time, the principal of Scholars Home.
Still she is there, sir.
Oh, she is still there. Oh, very old lady. Oh, my goodness. Fine. So I think Vinita ji, what I would suggest is geography is something which is very, very important. And you know that the kind of students coming out of Lady Shri Ram College and other colleges with geography honors, they are immediately getting absorbed by Discovery Channel, Google and other places, because geography is a big requirement for top companies nowadays in the country. So the only thing is in geography, the training or the teaching needs to be in that way that the student should enjoy that thing. And especially, I personally feel that if you can add history concept also with showing them the maps and how the things have grown over a period of time and how politics and history, because social sciences are interlinked, I believe in that. And the way of teaching social science can be very interesting by adding, the little bit of parts from the other social science subjects also in geography.
Okay, sir. Okay. Sir, is there any workshop from this company for online teaching?
Yeah. I think we are definitely going to come for a workshop for online teaching in the basic nuances which are required for online teaching. And I think Vinita ji, thanks for suggesting us a topic immediately. If you want, we can, just give us another couple of days and we'll get back to you for the workshop on online teaching.
Thanks a lot, sir. Because now from last 1 year, we are working on Zoom or Team or Google Doc. So we need still more something.
No, I know that's very important, because it's not only that thing. The most important thing is your notes and everything should be prepared in such a manner that how you can deliver it out there, because PPT is the best way to present it on the online platform, so that your entire concept can be delivered in a very systematic manner out there.
Because nowadays I'm planning to take some extra class for class 11th and 12th also by sitting at home online.
That makes sense. Great. That makes sense also. And I think now there is one more change which has happened in the country is even the students, those who have got 90+% in 10th grade, they are also opting for humanities and commerce. Yes. So I think that's a good change in the country, because the opportunities are equally good in humanities and commerce now vis-a-vis the science now. So I think that is something, a big change and I think a good change and good movement in the country. And there are lots of liberal colleges available now, the liberal arts colleges available, because liberal arts is very famous in US. And in India also, there are Ashoka University, Flame University offering the liberal arts program. So madam, you can always guide your students along with teaching them geography. what are the advantages with the liberal arts and how they can make a good career out of it.
Okay, sir. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Thanks a lot to all of you, and I hope you people have enjoyed this session, and I think we'll continue doing these sessions because and I think you can always convey to your other friends also. These are the sessions which are going to be there from the Edu Vacancy, and you can be in touch with the Edu Vacancy team to know more about the future sessions out there. And thanks to all of you.
Thank you. Sir, 1 minute.
Okay.
Sir, yeah.
I cannot hear you. Yeah. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
I can join your team.
100%, sir. I think team is going to be excited to have you on the board. 100%, sir. So I think the Akash or somebody from the team will definitely be in touch with you.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Bye. अरे हो गया भाई हो गया मिस्टी का आजा काटो आजा सिलेक्शन हो गया देखो अब घर बैठे पढ़ाओ
Guys, please do write a review on Google. I have sent the link in the chat box, and do register yourself on eduvacancy.com. If there are any more queries, you all can write to us at nikita@eduvacancy.com.
Excuse me, sir. Please repeat.
If you all have any queries, madam, you can write to nikita@eduvacancy.com.
Nikita.
Yes.
@eduvacancy.com. Huh?
Correct. And also the sessions recording will be on our YouTube channel as well. It's called Edu Vacancy on YouTube. So you all can all refer to that. And please do write a review. I have sent the link in the chat box.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.